Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk to Chelsea. Like, comment, subscribe if you like what you're seeing. This ain't gonna be a preview. This ain't gonna be a excitement. This ain't gonna be anything. This is gonna be a purely rant-based business. If you don't like me ranting or you don't want to hear me swear, then please just go away. Come back in the next video, of course. The state of Chelsea Football Club has been rotten to the core for the past 4 years, and this is why I want to put my hat in the ring. 2021-22 was meant to be a great season for Chelsea. We just won the Champions League. Roman Abramovich has spent money. Thomas Tuchel is happy at the club. Everything was happy. Come to 2022, the war in Ukraine took the government's decision to basically take the club away from Roman Abramovich and be put into an auction. There was a many load of candidates into their name, but the candidates that won were Mr. Todd Bowley and Clear Lake Capital, Ekbadabali, and you got Hans-Jörg Weiss and many other people into the name. Now, I want to go back to that club statement, because going back to it, this is what Todd Bowley has said. We are honoured to be the new custodians of Chelsea Football Club. We are all in 100%, every minute of every match. Our vision as owners is clear. We want to make the fans proud, along with our commitment to developing a youth squad and the best talent as a plan of action to invest in the club's long term and build on Chelsea's remarkable history of success. Okay then, Todd wants to talk about building on. We're all in 100%. You know, I'm happy for that. You know, you want to continue the success of what we've been having for the past 20 years. Brilliant. You know, you're Chelsea FC. This is what we do. This is how we do it. Now let's go into Egg Buy's comments. We are excited to commit the resources to continue Chelsea's leading role in global football, as well as an engine for football talent development. Together will expand the club's investment on infrastructure, technology, and sports science. This has been right there. Todd Bowley has said the right words. Ekbai wants to do technology. Now, Clear Lake owns the majority, owns half of it. Hans-Jörg Weiss and Mark Walter are both part of it. And Bowley owns the Dodgers, the Lakers, and the Sparks, all in LA. 4.25 billion you spent on us. Why am I being silent? Because I'm not seeing 4.25 billion worth in that team. I'm not seeing £2 billion worth of money spent on that team. Todd Bowley brings in Raheem Sterling in his first season. Brings in the likes of Fofana, Kukurea. Also tries to bring in Aubameyang. Then after that, you sack Thomas Tuchel. Because Tuchel understands that the way that you're going is not what he had in mind. You see how that's going? You then bring in Graham Potter. And along the way, you bring in Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart. And I'll get to those two in a minute. I'll get to those two. Don't think you've gotten away with it too. But after the years, we not only lose the sponsors of Free and Railfin, we don't have sponsors for the next 3 seasons. And it's temporary till the end of the season. The performances on the pitch has been diabolical, absolutely diabolical. We finished 12th in our first season, as with this owner group, 12th. All because you sack him, you sack Tuchel, you bring in Graham Potter, and then you bring in Frank Lampard when you knew Chelsea fans didn't want him. You knew Chelsea fans didn't want Graham Potter in the first place. Then you go and bring in Maurizio Pochettino. And who does he bring in? Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson, Robert Sanchez. You bring in those type of players. The Sassy. The only great player that has been there has been Cole Palmer. Purely simple because he's been arguably one of the best players that we've had in that season. Yeah, his form's dipped off, but what else can we do? You then decide to go with, you then decide to sack Pochettino because the two sporting directors made a 200-page dossier apparently on why Pochettino should not be in charge, which is understandable because Pochettino, half of the defeats were inevitable, half of the defeats were causable, half the defeats was not good enough. But who do you decide to bring in then? You could have brought in Hansi Flick. You could have brought in Luis Enrique. You could have brought in maybe a Zidane. Maybe you could have brought in somebody else. But who do you go for? Enzo Maresca. Now, okay, he gets us Champions League football. He makes us champions of the world. He makes us even Conference League to complete the set, the UEFA set, that we got honoured at the Champions League draw in August. But what has anybody done since that moment? When you win the Club World Cup, you're meant to be building up something. You're meant to be building up something. Why are we spending £30 million on Liam Delap? Why are we spending nearly 40 million on Garnacho? Why are we spending nearly 70 million on Gittins? Why are we spending money on absolute crap? I know why. Because you have sporting directors that only care about young. You have Clear Lake that wants to buy young. Todd Bowley wanted to bring in the big guns. The hints of Ronaldo, the hints of Neymar. Of course, okay, they're 30 years old, they're over 30 years old, but you get the point. That could have been statement signings, apparently. David Ornstein said at the start of this, oh, they will review this thing as after 2 seasons because it's a 4-window plan. Yet you bring in the likes of Mudryk, who was meant to go to Arsenal but failed a drugs test, can't play. You bring in two absolute diabolical goalkeepers in, Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen. And you're meant to think Mike Penders is meant to be the big one next season, meant to be the one that will break into this side. You had the chance to buy Mike Mannion for 20 million quid. Why in the hell did you decide not to spend 20 million on Mike Mannion? You could have gone in for Donnarumma, but you failed to get Donnarumma because he went to Manchester City for even half the price. You then bring in Disasi, you bring in Badiashile, you bring in Tozin, and you bring back Chalobah. The centre-backs at this football club is crap. They are terrible. Tozin can't defend. Chalobah, mistake. Tozin, not Tozin now, I just said him. Badiashile, terrible. Disasi on the bomb squad playing for West Ham right now. Get rid of Raheem Sterling for terminating his contract. He was in the bomb squad. 7-year contracts on mediocre. 7-year contracts on 22-year-olds. Enzo Fernandez wants to leave at the end of the season because he knows this ain't going right. And if you sack Leon Rosenior now, I'll get onto the managers in a minute. I did mention 2 there, but I will get to the managers. But if you sack Leon Rosenior and bring in Gary O'Neill from Strasbourg, your sister club, then you know you are in a deep part of shit. And I don't care less. You sign. Let's get to the managers. You sack Thomas Tuchel. He knew that he couldn't work with the board. Because when Tuchel came in, he wants to work with the board. He wants to understand the board. But what do? You throw him out on the pitch because apparently you don't think it's going to work. You then bring in Frank Lampard. You bring in Graham Potter. Now, Graham Potter is a Brighton man. He never experienced managing a big club like us. Why would you want to bring him in when we could have brought in some big managers in to try and build your vision up? You failed to do that because you think Graham Potter was the next best thing better than sliced bread. Then what do? You sacked Graham Potter because you knew we were crap. You knew we couldn't do anything. We get to a Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid and you knew we couldn't beat Real Madrid, especially with Graham Potter. You then bring in Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard. Am I mad? You bring in Mr. Vibes. Todd Bowley thinking we're going to win 3-0 at the Bernabeu. No. We could beat Real Madrid 3-0 at the Bernabeu if we had the right players and the right manager. But we couldn't. 1 year without 1 year without European football, and you bring in Pochettino, brings in Cole Palmer, brings in Jackson. Jackson missed one-on-ones. He couldn't even score. Even in the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester City, he couldn't even do nothing. Cole Palmer, one of the best players that we have had. One of the best players. But that's thanks to Joe Shields. You let Mason Mount go. You let Kai Havertz go to direct rivals. If that was Roman Abramovich, Marina Graskaya, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't dare. Because you made Arsenal stronger. You made Manchester United stronger. And in that time, Mason Mount won a trophy. Kai Havertz could have, and he could do on Sunday. Then you bring in Enzo Maresca. He wins us those trophies. You bring in Liam Rossigna, but you sack Maresca because he wanted centre-backs. He wanted a contract extension. He wanted some things. Why can't Winstanley and Stewart just pull the trigger? And let me get to these two bozos, these two fucking parasites. Because I've had enough. You two are destroying the club that we know. Bringing in 22-year-olds, bringing in 21-year-olds, bringing in 20-year-olds. You bring Caicedo, Enzo. Wow. Caicedo, brilliant. Enzo, brilliant. But it wasn't without Enzo not being good enough in his first season. 100 million quid after the World Cup. You have monumentally fucked this football club. Even you, Egbad. Yeah, I ain't forgot about you, you little bitch. You do it all the time. You say you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do this. You couldn't do nothing with this team. And now we're in free fall because you sack a manager and you bring in a Strasbourg buddy. And you're destroying Strasbourg at it. I feel sympathy for the Strasbourg fans. Because you're destroying their club to try and fuel ours, but you're destroying our club as well. Get out my football club. Blueco. Give Todd Bowley the keys. Give him the keys. Because we're having a Captain America Civil War on our hands. Between Egbad and Todd. This can't continue anymore. This can't continue. We're world champions, go out like world champions then. Bring in the players, bring in the world's best. Chelsea fans had a meeting with some of the owners or some of the board members, and the board members couldn't give a toss. And you say, oh yeah, Luis Enrique ain't good enough for Chelsea. Yeah, he wanted to go to Chelsea. He did the whole PowerPoint presentation on how he can make us better. And within the last year and a half, he's made Aston Villa, he's made Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Tottenham, and us in the Champions League and in the Super Cup. They're bitches. Yeah, we beat them in the Club World Cup, but that's completely different. I'm talking about here and now. 8-2 on aggregate, yeah? 8-2. And Liam Senior says that was a good performance. I don't like this football club anymore. I love it. I love my football club, but I don't like the way it is right now. Chelsea is meant to be the escapism for many people. The only place to be every other Saturday strolling down that Fulham Road. Blue is the colour and winning is our aim. That's our motto. That's the song. How is winning is our aim if we fail to qualify for the Champions League? How is winning is our aim if you bring in stupid managers? How is winning is our aim when you think that Luis Enrique ain't the manager for us? Yeah, if Luis Enrique goes, watch him go to one of the big Premier League clubs. If Hansi Flick leaves Barcelona, watch him go to one of the big Premier League clubs. You ain't serious. You don't take us seriously. You treat us like shit. You don't care. We don't care about Clear Lake. You don't care about us. All we care about is Chelsea FC. You're not wanted here, Egbad. Get out my football club. Winstanley, get out my football club. Stewart, get out my football club. Yeah. At least when Todd Bowley was doing the transfers, he had balls. He had the cojones. Yeah. He had the minerals to buy in big players. While you lot just want to buy young and young and young and young and young. Nearly 40 players can't fit in the dressing room because of you. Get out my football club. I am officially blue co-out as of today, as of yesterday, as of Tuesday. I want them gone. I want them gone quick. And I want them gone fast. Because this can't continue. This will not continue. This club has been in freefall since you motherfuckers took in charge. You sack managers willy-nilly and you think, oh, they're the best up-and-coming manager, they do this. Let's just go down the route of managers, yeah? Let's just go down the caliber of the managers that we brought in, okay? Okay, let's go through it, yeah? Tuchel, Dortmund, PSG, Mainz, Chelsea, wins the Champions League. You then sack him for Graham Potter, who managed Östersunds in Sweden, and you bring him in Brighton. And then when you sack him, you see him go to West Ham, and he's terrible at West Ham. I wonder why. You then bring in Frank Lampard, who couldn't even muster up 2 wins in a row. If that United Strand person was a Chelsea fan, God help him. You then decide to bring Mauricio Pochettino, which is a smart decision. You bring in experience for the first time in your lives. But he couldn't manage it. He finished just 6th. We could have had Europa League football had it weren't for Manchester United. You sack him because apparently he's not good enough, which I agree with. He's not good enough. But who do you get in next? Enzo Maresca from Leicester, that's it. And acts as Pep Guardiola's second man. You then sack him for Leon Rosenior, who worked with Wayne Rooney at Derby, then tried making out his own at Hull. And now he went to Strasbourg, and now you know if he gets sacked, Gary O'Neill's going to come in charge. I'm sick of the lies, I'm sick of the bullshit, I'm sick of everything at this football club. I hate it. It's disgusting. And I feel sorry for the fans that go every week. I have to see it all the time. I have to see it, I have to watch it. Because I love my football club. I don't want to walk away. I don't want to leave this football club. Chelsea FC is meant to be the pride of London, the king of clubs, meant to be the world champions, meant to be the team that has won every trophy that there has been in the past 20 years. But when you look at it, Tottenham have won a European trophy. Arsenal could go and try and do a quadruple at this point. They have a League Cup final at Wembley. I wonder who they beat to get to that. You're disgusting, Todd. You're disgusting, Eggbye. You're disgusting, Winstanley, Stewart. You're disgusting. I want this football club to succeed. I want this club to win everything that we can. But we can't. Not when you're in charge. Not when you're dictating the transfers. What can we do? What can we do? We can protest, but you won't listen. Stop trying to make Todd Bowley that mouthpiece when you are the ones causing the trouble. I'm out of here. 20-minute rant. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. I'll see you in the next one. I'm not even going to say my final catchphrase. Fuck this club.